So, the Arizona Coyotes have decided to part ways with Shane Doan. Shane Doan is, well, the guy's a warrior. Shane Doan has been in the league for 20 years. And when you look over his career, it didn't start out great. 95-96 was his first year. It was in Winnipeg. He had 7 goals. And he was a number 7 overall pick in 95. Moved with the team to Phoenix, and in his first year with Phoenix, he had 4 goals. 96-97. I actually have a book here on that. Let me go ahead and pause and dig that up. Okay, so the the best write-up I can find about this. There we go. This is about the Phoenix Coyotes, and they were Phoenix at the time. Their defense is solid but lacks true offensive production. Young Coyotes Daniel Priere and Shane Doan have disappointed, and their further development is crucial to the team's cup aspirations. Javi Bulin can easily win a series by himself, but he's been prone to inconsistent play as well. Overall, the Coyotes just need to start clicking on all cylinders. They have the elements in place for a serious Stanley Cup run. They just need to combat their biggest opponent to date, their fragile mental state. And then on Doan, they say, Doan's progressing slowly to become a future power forward. After 4 seasons, the 6'2", 217-pounder is still a project, though he did show signs of encouragement in the 1999 Stanley Cup playoffs. A look ahead, he's an up-and-down winger who's still learning how to become an offensive player. Whether Doan matures into a top scorer or not, he's still a valuable checker who provides a lot of grit and determination. Projected role. Doan's still stuck behind Dallas Drake and Rick Tocchet on the right wing, but will move up if he gains confidence in his ability. So that's where Doan was. He had played 249 games. He had 22 goals in his career and 62 points. 239 penalty minutes. He had .25 points per game, and he was 22 years of age. This is why, when I hear people talk about, oh, this guy, he's a bust. How many years has he played? 2. No, he's not. There are examples of players who may very well be showing bust early, and I think of, the obvious target in Vancouver's Virtanen. But Shane Doan didn't score his first 4 years in the NHL. He didn't score, hardly at all. He couldn't get into double digits in goals. His points were in the low 20s. And yes, he was stuck behind a lot of guys in the depth chart, but he wasn't showing anything that led Phoenix to believe he was capable of more. And then all of a sudden, I think it was the year after that one. Yeah, it's the year after the one I just read. He scored 26 goals and had 51 points. And suddenly, Doan was a power forward. 66 penalty minutes that year, and Doan the power forward was born. What makes it impressive is he's got 972 career points. His first 4 years in the league, he didn't score nada. He was, he had his first 4 years in the league, he scored 17 points, 12 points, 11 points in 33 games, 22 points. So again, for some guys that I see saying, oh, this guy's a bust, this guy sucks, this guy sucks. How old is he? 22, 23? Then you don't know yet. You don't know what you're getting with a player at 22. You might, but odds are they're going to evolve. Their game's going to evolve. They're likely to get better, but in the case of a guy like Cody Hodgson, Jordan Schrader, and again, I'm talking from a Canuck fan's point of view, they don't always get better, but Shane Doan was meant to get better. And his 972 points is really impressive considering those first 4 years he couldn't score. If he'd been scoring, say, 40 points a year those first 4 years, he's approaching 1,100 points. We're talking about Hall of Fame. So that's the question that comes up then. Does Shane Doan deserve Hall of Fame recognition? Personally, I don't think so, because he's never been a dominant player. To me, a Hall of Famer is a guy who dominates, a guy who stands at this level while everybody else is just below him. And Doan has always been good. And Doan's played all-star games partly because he's played for the Arizona Coyotes. and they haven't been great teams. But the fact that he's been so committed to this organization since 1995, that says a lot. It's a shame that he'll play somewhere else, depending on who picks him up. I don't know who gives him the shot. To me, it feels like a move where he'll end up taking probably less than $1 million to play for a team like a Pittsburgh or a Washington or Chicago. He'll go somewhere that he feels like he has an opportunity to finally win a Stanley Cup before he leaves. He has played 1,540 games, and he's played 55 in the playoffs. That's not good enough. He wants playoff games. If he's going to go somewhere else, he's going to want to have a chance to win. And, you know, I said a few years ago when Doan was a UFA and he chose to go back to Arizona, I said, you know, he's a team player, but maybe to a fault. He may have cost himself the chance to be a Stanley Cup champion, which is fine. It's his call. But it is a shame to see that happen. I would love to have seen him sign with a contender. Just picture Doan in a Pittsburgh jersey. It's easy enough to picture him in there. With the veterans they've had, I could see him signing for a cheap deal, and I would love to have seen him skate around with the Stanley Cup above his head. That's what he's going to want. So it's not going to be a matter of cap room, because like I said, he's going to play cheap. Wherever he goes, he's going to play cheap. And he's going to play probably with a chip on his shoulder because Arizona said, we're done. He scored 6 goals this past season. That's not good enough. And it's part of getting older. You know, you get to a certain age. Trust me, I know. You get to a certain age and you just can't do the things that you did before. And you kind of have to accept it. If you're a professional athlete, you can stay in the pros. And Doan is going to be a useful pro. But that elite talent, your speed, some of that is going to start to fall by the wayside. So I do wish Doan the best. His career has been an inspiration for players who take a little longer. He's a good example of why I think power forwards need to be given more time and need to be allowed to find their game. So when you see a guy who's big and he's strong and then he just can't score, you can't just shrug your shoulders and go, the guy sucks. Because that's what people were saying about Doan right up until year 4. And then year 5, he blossomed. And you never know who's going to. So, for me, he's not a Hall of Famer. His jersey gets retired by Phoenix/Arizona. He is worthy of a number being retired. I think the NHL overplays that. I think it's too easy to get your number retired in the NHL now. But at the same time, he deserves it. He deserves a huge fanfare if he comes back to Arizona wearing any other jersey. And I honestly wish him nothing but the best. I'd be very interested to see how he does with another team. I don't know that there's any offensive upside left. It was another one of those cases where when he was a free agent, I remember Canuck fans, let's see him with the Sedins, let's see him with this and that. And it's like, he's not that guy anymore. He's not that big power forward who can score 25, 30 goals. He's still good, but any team that picks him up should envision him being bottom 6 and potentially playing second line when there's an injury. But he should have his minutes watched, and just as long as any team that he goes to, as long as their fan base understands that what they're getting isn't the guy who scored 972 points, they're getting a good checking forward who plays a smart game, I think they'll be fine. The fact that he only had a -3 in Arizona last year and he played 74 games, I know people don't pay any attention to plus-minus, and I get it. But for me, that number tells me that he was very good defensively on a team that wasn't very good. So I would be very interested to see who he plays with. Let me know who you think signs Doan. Or does he retire? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And Shane Doan, true warrior, and there's not much else to say about it than that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.